Hello everybody and welcome back to another TR-09 drum machine tutorial video. I think I'm going to make this the last video only because looking back at the other tutorials we see that we can get the unit out the box, we can make it sound good and play it by bringing instruments in and out, making build-ups and breakdowns, and we can also edit the menu settings and put a pattern together. Not only that, we can also chain patterns together, build a track. So I think you've got most of the main things covered there to make most potential out of this unit. Just want to wrap it up by covering some of the lesser used functions on the drum machine, which is the scale, the backbeat, the shuffle, the flam and the total accent. So I think then I will be moving on to a more overview of how I make music and how I sequence all these drum machines and synthesizers together. I'm just going to put the tutorial up here and also one of my most recent live streams so you can see what I do when I'm not making tutorials is I make music. I'm a signed musician to Boomtick Records, and you can see all that in the link below under the video. So if you like this channel and subscribe to it, you'll keep up to date with all the videos that I will be posting. So first off is scale. So scale is essentially the time signature of the track or the piece of music that we're writing. And in modern dance music, we use a 4/4 time signature, which it's set to here. So this means on the scale that each of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 8, 9 to 12 and 13 to 16, they represent one beat in the 4/4 time signature. Let me give you a little demonstration. So if we go to instrument select and select the bass drum and then start it running, if we put it on 1, 5, 9 and 13, there's our 4 to the floor bass drum at a tempo of 140. Now if I just add, I'm trying to do this one-handed, a rim shot on number 1, that's sort of like our metronome. Just turn it up a little bit, and when the rim shot hits, that's beat number 1. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that makes perfect sense, right? So if we use the next scale up, which I'll just have to refer to the manual because I can't remember what that was. So that first one was 16 notes. So you can see we've got 16 steps. So we're using 16 notes for that 4/4 time signature. Now if we go up to and press scale, we now go to 32 notes. So we're actually using 32 notes for 4 bars. So if I run this now, it technically should be double speed because 32 is double of 16. Okay, so you get the gist behind that. The only thing you've got to do when you're using 32, which is really useful if you wanted to do like hi-hat rolls or ratcheted hi-hats, which, you know, trap and grime, you can use that. Essentially all we're doing is increasing the resolution of how many notes or how many steps we've got to play with within one measure or one bar in the track or in the music. Okay, so if we go to the next scale, which I have down as 8-note triplets, what it essentially means is that we go to like a 3, is it a 3/4 or a 3/3 time signature? My music theory is just non-existent, so apologies for that. And then if we run this, we get like a waltz. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and if I add a rim shot on there, it makes it a bit more clearer. And then so this is 8-note triplets, and then 16-note triplets is basically the waltz but at a higher resolution, or it will go double speed. Okay, so that's basically scale. I hope that makes sense. I never really use scale, to be honest. I always just have it on 16 notes because the music I make is 4 to the floor electronic music. Maybe I could use the 32 notes if I wanted to get really detailed resolution on a ride cymbal or hi-hat, but apart from that, you don't need to worry too much about scale. Okay, so when it comes to backbeats, if I just clear this pattern, and remember I've got it in pattern write mode, backbeats allow you to add instruments between the steps. So I'll give you an example. Let's do it with trying to do this one-handed. The rim shot. If I get this running and I do something simple like this, and then I press and hold down enter, that will get me to the backbeat section. So if I put it on 1, 5, 9 and 13, you can see you get like a double hit of the rim shot. Now, that's not a good example because that sounds like a flammed instrument, but the only thing is you can't flam a rim shot. So if you did want to make a flammed sounding rim shot, that's the way to do it. But if I was to make it sound pretty crazy, rim shot on every step, okay, and then you've still got the backbeat rim shots. If I then put a rim shot on every single backbeat, you can see it sounds pretty crazy. So that's not the best way to use the backbeats, but it gives you an example of what the function does. Best time to use the backbeats, in my eyes, in my opinion, is when you are using hi-hats or you want really high resolution on the ride cymbal, because sometimes you just want to get that ride cymbal in techno music just steaming away in the background at that high resolution, so you can sort of like fill out a bit of the high frequency with that really stressed like sweet sounding ride cymbal. So again, just to recap, if I get this running, I've got all the normal beats of the rim shot, so let's take those all out, and then what I'm left with is the backbeats. So if I hold down enter, it gets me to the backbeats, and then trying to do this one-handed, I can take all those backbeats off. Okay, so when it comes to shuffle, what is shuffle? Because the drum machine is all controlled by electronic components and it's quite computerized, it can sound, computerized and quite stiff. So shuffle enables us to swing the beat or the sound of the beat. So let me give you an example. So I've got the unit running, as you can see. So let me do instrument select and the bass drum, and let's just put a simple 4 to the floor bass drum, and then again trying to do this single-handed. Let's go to the closed hi-hat, so instrument select and closed hi-hat, and let's put a hi-hat on every step. Let's make it a bit louder, and then you can see if I hold down shuffle, I've got no shuffle. Now I can use the buttons 1 to 8 to set the different shuffle rates, or if I press number 8 it switches it off, or I can use, still holding down shuffle, negative values or positive values to adjust the shuffle. So let's have a little listen to the shuffle here. So with no shuffle we get, and then if I use the shuffle button and say number 2, you can see it increases the amount of shuffle. On my unit, for some reason, off doesn't actually get rid of the shuffle, so I don't know if that's a firmware problem or whether I do a factory reset and update the firmware, who knows. And then I can control it with the button again, so let's get it running. Hold down shuffle, and as you can see, in my eyes I have it about 20, and that gives me a nice little shuffle on that pattern there. Okay, so FLAM. FLAM is essentially used to, what is the best way to describe it? Just to add a bit of interesting rhythmic result to your pattern. So let me give you an example. So if we clear this pattern number 1, and we instrument select and just press the so you've got the bass drum here. If we just press the first one and then get it running, obviously that's bass drum smack on step 1, the higher volume bass drum, the accented bass drum on step 1, and let's just remove that. But if we go to instrument select and press both bass drums down, this will give us the flammed bass drum, which sounds like this. Okay, so it's like a double hit of the bass drum. So if I instrument select and choose the rim shot and put the rim shot on number 1, you can sort of see how far off. I'm just using like the rim shot to denote step number 1. You can see how far off the flam is. Now you can adjust the timing of the flam. If you hold down flam and then use buttons 9 to 16, we can have a space of 20, and then let me just do this with my other hand. We can have a space of 48. So it's very subtle, but you can use it to get some interesting rhythmic results. So let's just put it back to a space of 20 between the flam. So if you've got a flam step on here, let me just take off the rim shot on step number 1, obviously. If I instrument select and just choose the normal bass drum, it gets rid of the flam. Okay, so you've got nothing. So the difference between a normal bass drum and a flammed bass drum, if you've already got one or the other one will kill it or get rid of it. So then normal bass drum, accented bass drum, and then if we instrument select and go to the flammed bass drum, which is on step 1, it gets rid of our normal bass drum. So it's a little bit counterintuitive, but as soon as you press a button, there it is, it reappears. So can you put a flammed instrument, and remember you can only do the bass drum to the high tom, so these first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 instruments. Let's see if you can put a flammed instrument on a backbeat. So let's just clear this, get it running. I'm going to select my flammed bass drum, which you already had, and put it on number 1. And then I'm going to press enter to get to the backbeats and press number 1. Yep, you can. So you can put a flammed instrument not only on the beat, but on the backbeat of that step, and it starts to sound, you know, you can, if you're into experimental music or just want to go crazy, then it can come in handy. Conventionally, you probably wouldn't do this, but again, I'm a firm believer that there's no rules in music. So let's have another little play. This time I'm going to clear the pattern and I'm going to get it running, and I'm going to select my flammed snare drum, and I'm going to put 1 on every step, and obviously turn the level up. And then I'm going to go to my backbeats, hold down enter, and put 1 on every step. There you go. So that is pretty crazy now. Why is that level on? I think my level's turned down on my snare drum. So if we go to edit, the gain on the snare drum, there we go. It was set quite low. So again, you'd probably use that in a I don't like to use the word EDM, but an electronic dance music like snare fill or snare roll, or it could be something you sample into a digital audio workstation and use as part of your music. You don't always have to use this in a live environment. You know, you can sample the sounds coming out of this and play with them to your heart's content. And then last but not least is total accent. So again, on some of the instruments you'll get the option to add a lower volume or higher volume instrument like the bass drum, and then you can have an accented step on any one of the 16 steps. Now what an accented step is it means that it's got slightly more gain than a normal step. I think in MIDI terms we go from 0 to say 120 in gain on the front panel, but then when you add an accent, you're going from a velocity in MIDI terms of 121 or 120 to 127. so it will sound louder in terms of how hard that note's been hit. And what we can do is add an accented step to bring out, say, like the second clap in a beat. So let me just give you an example. So let's just clear that pattern, start it up. Let's just go again for something simple. So I'm going to use the louder bass drum, and then I'm going to instrument select, if I can reach, a clap. So we can have a clap on 5 and a clap on 13. Now the clap can either be on or off a step. So if I wanted to put an accent on number 13, I would just go instrument select and total accent. So now I've selected the total accent sort of as an instrument. So if I put an accent on 13, it has actually accented that step. Now unfortunately, let's just stop that, it's accented the bass drum and the clap, but there's no way around that. It's a limitation, but you can use it to your advantage. So let's have another little play. So sometimes we accent, which is already selected, the first step, and then you've got a dial on the total accent, so we can dial down or dial up the accent. Let me just give you another quick example. So if we clear this pattern, get it running, instrument select, and I'm going to select the ride symbol, and I'm just going to do a common techno-y pattern, which is to have that ride symbol sort of on a break in the track, and then I'm going to instrument select, go to total accent, and I want an accent on number 1. Should we have it on 9 as well? So it adds a little bit more of a dynamic onto that ride symbol. No accent. Okay, so I think you get the picture on that one. So that kind of concludes the tutorial series on the TR-09. I'm a little bit sad because I've had so much fun learning myself how to use the unit. Most of my videos on my channel, you'll always get access to the full tutorials here. And then again, if you subscribe, if I upload any more videos, you will be alerted as long as you've got the notifications set. And again, thank you for watching. If you want to check out what my own music sounds like, check it out on my YouTube channel. And if you want to know how to play the instruments like I do, I probably will be putting a couple of videos up on how I link all my drum machines and synthesizers together and my kind of style of music. But again, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.